thank you for joining us over on YouTube and on Facebook Live. We are back again this time around, and a very warm welcome to the IMFeD for Growth program, Growth Watch Month Forum Series. I am Jaleesa Sanjana, and it's a pleasure to be hosting the Forum Series once again. So before we kickstart our Forum Series here today, allow me to share with you a bit on our housekeeping rules. So as you know, our Forum Series, we would like to keep this as engaging as possible as well. So if at all you have any questions for us, well, feel free to drop it over via Slido, or you could scan the QR code, and of course we will be more than happy to take in all of your questions during our Q&A session. So for those of you who are very new to these platforms, or you are perhaps very new with our Forum Series, I would also like to share with you a little bit about exactly what IMFeD program is all about. It has started in 2012 by the Malaysian Pediatric Association, focusing on healthcare professionals and parents in optimizing children's growth. So as you have watched the video earlier as well, I'm sure you also are aware of the Growth Watch Month. And of course, this is to raise awareness on the importance of good growth for children and adolescents to prevent stunting. So with me here today, I have a very interesting panel and IMFeD's experts here with me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction for you to also know that you are in safe hands throughout this forum session. And of course, we would like to hear it from you. So feel free to drop in your questions as we tackle each questions during our session that is about to start. And for the very first panel that I have here, the speaker, our expert, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Muhammad Yazid Jalaluddin. All right, so Professor Dr. Muhammad Yazid Jalaluddin is the Senior Consultant Pediatrician and Senior Consultant Pediatric Endocrinologist at the University Malaya Medical Center. All right, and again, he has a really good list, as you can see here on your screen as well. So any questions that you would like to direct it over to him later, well, feel free to drop it over. And joining him, of course, we also have Dr. Yong Junina Fadzil. All right, so she is the consultant pediatrician and pediatric cardiologist at the clinic Pakar Kanak-Kanak Junina. All right, and I'm pretty sure you have seen her on multiple TV interviews as well. So she's here in the studio today with us, and of course we are waiting for all of your questions. And last but not least, we also have Miss Rosanna Amrosely, okay, a very dedicated and passionate registered clinical dietitian with more than 22 years of experience, and she's also here on this platform. So if at all perhaps you have met them before, or you have had a conversation with them, or you're even a patient, okay, to any one of our experts here today, we'll be more than happy to welcome you here back again and take in all of your questions. All right, so as you already know, our topic for today is the growth for school-age children. All right, so without further ado, let's also explore a little bit more around this theme for today, and I'm going to dive in to the very first question that I have. So, Professor Yazid, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm speechless.
He's very happy actually to be here today. All right. So on that note, I also understand that you have had some experience going into schools, all right, for your research previously. And do you also, have your school-age children that are being assessed at schools? And if yes, how do you exactly know if they are assessed and monitored, if you talk about this topic specifically?
All right, thank you, Jalisa. I think this is very important for the parents because I think a good number of parents, as far as my conversation with them, a good number of them actually don't really know that their kids have been measured in school. Actually, for under the Malaysian Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, there is a program called SEGA, which is the Standard Kecergasan Fizikal Kebangsaan untuk murid sekolah Malaysia, whereby in this program, all these kids in the school, whether they are in the primary or secondary school, they are being measured at least twice a year. Their weight and their height are measured, and they also have some activities to look at their fitness level.
Okay.
Yeah, so those things are very important. That is being done twice a year at least.
Okay, so it's safe for us to also say that it's a good system out of it, a good record as well.
Yes.
So what is your thought on this, Dr. Yong?
Well, SEGA is a good program,
right?
And many parents think that it may just be confined to government schools. However, although the same program may not be implemented in private schools under the same name, a similar program is actually in place in private and international schools where children's measurements, both heights and weight, are taken once or twice a year, and there is a fitness test that they have to go through.
Yeah.
The burpees, the push-ups, and the jumping jacks and whatnot.
Yeah.
And if it is not formally assessed, it is informally assessed during PE lessons.
All right.
So yes, they are taken care of.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Young. So, it is also very safe here for us to say that parents also have a clearer picture, okay, and they can be assured that these schools are also keeping track from time to time.
Yeah.
But you see, more to that, now that we're on that topic, I'm also sure that it's also important for, these numbers to mean something
Yeah.
to the child's growth when we
Yeah.
talk about it, especially when we zoom into this particular topic. The numbers has to translate into something for a child's growth as well. So, Prof, my question is that can you also help us understand how do these values and basically children's weight and height can be interpreted, and what parents should do next with these numbers?
All right, thank you. The thing is that with children, we know that they are growing, right? For adults, we have our final height, we have our weight, which may change months to months, but almost always that we know where they are. Right? For children, for the different gender and the different age, you will be at a different height and a different weight. And as you can see from here, we have the chart for the weight as well as for the height. And the pink is just resemble the girls and the blue resembles the boys. And when we look at this chart, when we have the number, the one that has been measured, you need to take that number and put it on the chart to see whether that the child is actually within the limits or above or below the limit. If the child is below the lowest line for the height, then we call this child to be short for the population, or when they are less than 5 years, we call them as having stunting.
Okay.
And for the weight, if they are below the 3rd percentile, we then call them as underweight. For the one above the top line there, which is the 97th percentile, so if it is for the height, then you call them as they are tall for the population. And if they are having a weight beyond the 97th percentile, we have to be very careful whether they can have a problem with overweight or obesity. So your children needs to be within this limit, between the 3rd to the 97th percentile for their height and their weight, to make sure that they are in the normal range. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Prof. So it's a very clear picture in case for any of our parents, if this may seem a little foreign to you when we talk about the weight and the height of your child. So I think these charts are very helpful. So thank you so much, Prof.
Melissa, maybe
Yes.
I can interject a bit.
Yes.
When he says percentile, it means like 3rd percentile means
Right.
3% of
Yeah.
children
Children.
on that line or below.
Below,
Yes.
So
okay.
if you're 97th percentile means you're in the top 3%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to be clearer to the parents,
Yeah.
if your boy is at 8 years old, right, and your boy height is on the 3rd percentile, that means there are only another 3 boys who are shorter than your boy.
Okay.
Out of 100.
Okay, out of
All right,
100.
out of 100.
Yes.
Okay.
So that means this child is really short.
Short. Okay. All right. So I like how, we are giving you a very clear picture. Even if you're making comparisons, I think it's safe for you to look at the chart, all
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And decide for yourself.
Yeah.
All right? Okay, so now if we are already on this topic, we also want to hear it over to from Miss Rosanna, who's obviously our dietitian over here. And we are also looking at the BMI, okay? BMI for adults on our daily basis whenever we look at it. So let's talk about children and their BMIs as well, all right? So
that the parents can know about the growth chart as well.
Alright.
One is through this app here, the Growth Journey app, whereby for this app, I think that almost all of us has the Android or iPhones. You can just download the app, and what you do is that you just take the picture or the photo of your child standing next to an adult. And after you take the picture, basically this is for the children above 2 years old. So if you take the photo of a child next to an adult, it goes directly on the growth chart. So the parents do not need to go and plot it anymore. All right, so that's easy breezy. Exactly.
And again, if you have your Android phones and everything,
Yeah.
you can download other platforms that you're watching us on Facebook. I'm going to download this one as well. Right? Very straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof, for
No
that.
problem.
So back to Miss Rosanna. We hope we can hear you now. Miss Rosanna?
Yes, you can.
All right. Amazing. So back to the question that we were talking about. Can you explain to us about the significance of BMI, all right, for children? And are they really interpreted the same way as how we would interpret it for adults, Miss Rosanna?
As you can, as for adults, we have an equation. I think between children and adult is the same. That you take the weight in kilograms, yeah, not ounces or in pounds, and you measure. You take the height in meters and you times the height. So weight over height in meters square. So the calculation is the same. However, we look at percentile, not the numbers. In adults, we look at the numbers. When you calculate, you have a category: underweight, normal weight, overweight, and obese. Whereas for children, you plot back into the chart that you saw earlier, which is the weight and height percentile chart, but you look at the BMI for age percentile. So in that chart, you can see underweight, a normal weight category, overweight, and the obese category. So when you plot, everything is plot. You get the right chart, right age, right color, yes. And you can find it online if you're not an app person. So all parents can go online to the WHO, and they have the charts over there, or they even have the charts in the CDC for above 5 years old.
Maybe we can get the charts up. I think there's there's a
Yeah.
chart for the
Yeah,
WHO,
alright.
BMI.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Then we can share with them.
Yeah, so we've put up some. So that's the growth journey.
That's going back.
Good.
Alright.
So
Sorry.
Yes.
Not this one.
Moving forward.
Move forward.
Yes, this
Yes.
one. Yeah.
yeah, so as you can see there's obesity, there's overweight. So you plot the weight and height when you know the right weight and height. Of course, accuracy is important when you monitor the height, and then weight, and you calculate based on the weight over height square. Height times height in meter, then you plot it over there, whether you're -3, -2, but over there, there's already the category, underweight, overweight, and we will know, okay, on top of being short, you could be over the weight. Your weight could be over because you are short, or you could be tall and overweight. So it depends on when you plot it.
We have to look at the BMI, and if we look at the BMI, we would like to make sure that our children is within the normal. Remember, we talked about the height and the weight just now. Either you're underweight or you are stunted. For BMI, if a boy or a girl is above the 85th percentile, if we looked at the chart, the 95th percentile, they are considered as obese. And these are the ones that we do not want. We would rather have our children to be in the normal weight range. Yeah. And if they are below the 3rd percentile, this is the group that we really need to look at. That means they are really underweight, that we need to make sure that their BMI goes back up to the normal range.
Okay, all right. So we have a good understanding on the BMI part, and thank you, Ms. Rosanna, for the slides as well, though it came out a little bit later than expected, but I think we are all on the same
Yeah.
page and it's all clear for our viewers as well. So thank you, Ms. Rosanna, for that. So now we're looking over at the other part of it. This brings me to the discussion that I would like to highlight as well, because I think, you know, especially with how kids these days are always trying to also have this thing about fitting in, and it's a concern as well among their peers, especially in school. You know, we all have been in situations whereby if you're in a school and some kids would be slightly taller and you have to stand at the back in line, or perhaps they go at the front as well. So these are the little things sometimes that, you know, it does affect a kid as well, I would say. All right, so you know, I'm sure these are also concerns sometimes for parents, because these comparisons may come very naturally. We don't want to highlight it, but it happens to parents, you know, on a daily basis sometimes as you're looking at the growth of your child. So, Prof, how do we know if a child is really short?
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we talk about shortness, okay, we're looking basically by definition, the child should be below the third percentile. I mean, if you look at this chart that we put up, third percentile means the last line. Yeah, the one in the red. So if the bottom line, okay, so if the child is below the third percentile, we then call the child to be short, okay, for the age and for the gender of the child. But for us in Malaysia, because for adult men and adult women in Malaysia, our average height actually is only at the 10th percentile. All right. So when we are at the 10th percentile, that means our children, I mean, the normality for us could still be below the third percentile. So because of that, we really need to look back at our population. However, for those parents who are tall, when you calculate for the genetic potential, if they fall at the 85th or the 50th percentile, their child will be considered as short, even if the child is at the 10th percentile. So the interpretation needs to be looked at really carefully by their doctors. It's not just anyone who can just interpret that you are short or not.
Yes,
just
never
by looking
assume
at the
as
child.
well.
Exactly.
Yeah? It's always safer for you to walk in and sit down and have a conversation about it rather than assuming it and making all these sometimes unhealthy comparisons as well.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, we hope you're enjoying the forum session, and we hope to take in any questions that you have as well, especially if you're a parent who's watching us right now. And I'm also going to ask, I would like to also hear this from the dietitian's point of view on this next question that I have. So, you know, what are the contributing factors, do you think, to these situations of stunting? So over back to you, Ms. Rosanna, what is your opinion on this as from a dietitian's point of view?
Well, I mean, from a nutrition point of view, you start even from before, you know, let's talk about history before pregnant, the mother itself, and the child. And when you look at the screen, childhood nutrition is important because it supports your immune function. You don't fall sick easily. The sooner you establish good eating habits, provides essential vitamins and minerals. And you hear a lot about growth and development of the brain, brain development, establish a sleep pattern. Later we'll talk about that. And of course, mood, stamina as a child. And when we see balanced diet, is more nutrient-dense foods, which are rich in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients without the excessive amount of fat and sugar and salt. You see, those are nutrient dense. We look now at nutrient dense, the term. And nutrition, of course, plays a more dominant role, which determines, I think, about 80% of the child's height. You can't just sort of blame the genes. So when you look at this, I mean, there are a lot of other things that can cause, say, stunting, short stature. Some things are like feeding difficulties, picky eating, skipping breakfast. Oh, my child can't eat in the morning. Sometimes the parents let the child pick the food. I mean, we get a lot of patients where the parents are actually letting the child pick the food.
Yeah. I think a lot of parents are very comfortable with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right.
So,
yes, Ms. Rosanna, so that was the chart that we can also look at for now. And it's
Yes.
also a very important topic, I think, that we can actually further dive into it as well, because these are the factors where parents would face on a daily basis as well. And these
Yeah.
are the factors as
Yeah.
well, right? It's
Yes.
sometimes the little things that you do in your everyday life as well.
Yeah.
So what about the medical perspective of this? So maybe Dr. Yong, you want to give us your opinion on that?
Well, as Ms. Rosanna rightly pointed out,
Yeah.
nutrition-dense food is
Yes.
very important in ensuring proper growth. However, there are certain conditions where the child needs more calories because they have an underlying medical condition. For example, they may have been born prematurely, they have chronic lung disease, or they are unwell and they need more effort to breathe. And that actually consumes calories. An unwell child burns more calories.
Yeah.
A child with heart conditions may also require higher calories because their hearts are beating faster or because they're in heart failure. And that has to be taken into account when we talk about calorie intake. So one size does not fit all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at the child's individual medical condition
Yeah.
and then tailor the nutritional needs. And sometimes you can't just add the quantity, you've actually got
Yeah.
to improve on the quality,
Yeah.
the amount of
True.
calories per mouthful. So that's just the heart and then lung conditions and other medical conditions which may also affect what you can feed.
Yeah.
Hence the valuable input from a dietitian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
I
can't
think
go
it all
without
comes
them.
all in hand as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are
Yeah.
looking at it from a very, very larger picture of it. But if you to zoom into it, it all comes in hand.
Yes.
So, what is your thoughts on this, Prof? Is there any other factors that we have not mentioned yet that perhaps you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, when we have gone through the process of understanding whether their nutrition is good or not, the quantity is enough, the quality is good, and on top of that, making sure that they don't have any medical illness. And most of the time, these children who are very well and healthy, and these are the ones that usually come to see me. And these are the children with the endocrine problems, and like growth hormone deficiency or thyroid problems, that kind of thing. And for this group of children, what we usually see is that their height in terms of percentile is worse than their weight. So they have a good weight, but they don't grow tall.
Okay.
So those are children who have issues with their endocrine problems. I mean, the endocrine function.
Okay.
But if they are underweight and they are short, these are usually children with problems with calorie, not enough calorie intake or too much of burned calories because of the need of the medical illness. So a lot of things got to do with that. And if we look at the slide here, we know that a good number of factors affect the child's growth. That include the genetic, the father and the mother. But let me just remind you, short parent doesn't mean you should have a short child.
That's a very strong point, Prof.
I like that for everything.
Yes.
You can't blame the parents.
Yes.
Yes, because when we talk about the height, remember that we show you the growth chart just
Yes.
now. When we get the when we calculate for the final height, which is based on the father and the mother height,
Yeah.
there is a plus 10 and minus 10
Yes.
centimeter of the child's final height. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a child who is supposed to be 165 based on the father and mother can actually be 175
5. Okay.
or can be as short as 155.
Okay.
Which you do not want, right?
Yeah.
You would rather want your child to be taller than you.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that they actually get the one on top, the first half
Yeah.
rather than the second half. So that's very important to look at. And again, if we look at this, yes, nutrition play a good role,
Yeah.
but the hormones, very importantly, is there. The growth hormones, the thyroid hormone, and then the sex hormones. A lot of time I get referral where they come to me quite late because they were informed by their doctors, it's fine, your child will grow later on.
Yes, I
Right?
think that is a
Yeah.
very comfortable
Exactly.
line that a lot of parents in general would use as
Yeah.
we leave it as it is and we see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for girls, it's okay because not to say okay, sorry.
We
And
love our heels. I don't think that's okay.
No, for girls, it's quite easy
Yeah.
to understand when they start going to puberty.
Yeah.
Because once they start having the breast development,
Yeah.
the mother will be worried already.
Yeah.
Right? For the boys, this is where the problem is. Because you never know the boy has gone into puberty or not until the boy start changing voice.
Yeah.
And when the boy starts changing voice, that's nearer to the end of the puberty.
Yeah.
And then you don't get that much height anymore
Yeah.
after that. So it's very important to look at it, look at this thing as a whole. So it's very important to get the correct doctor to look really into your
I
children.
like how I have two doctors here with me, and I will not say further, but we all know what we mean when we say this. All right.
The other issue
Yes.
is a lot of parents think that, oh, once my child attains puberty, once my daughter gets a period, then she will grow. Unfortunately, that is so untrue, because once you
Yeah.
get your
Right.
period, you're not going to grow more than 5 centimeters or so
Exactly,
over the next 2 years. So if you're at 145 and you get your period,
Yeah.
you're not going to be taller than me.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually very, very important, because I think, like I said, a lot of parents get very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
They wait and they see what happens.
Correct.
So when the child gets their menses, then we can see what happens.
Yes.
So that's not a very,
Yeah.
safe side to be on. Seek
It'll be too late, yeah.
seek a proper doctor's advice
Yeah.
out of this.
I think there's a lot of mythos and facts.
Okay.
We need to make sure that this
The
is
myths are
the
debunked.
myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The myth is not there.
Yeah.
in our-
And I think it's also safe for me to say that I think a lot of doctors face this, where people Google things out of the blue.
Exactly.
And they come up to you with different scenarios. I'm sure you can
Yeah.
relate to this as well.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So now that we are on this topic once again, I would like to welcome all of our viewers again. Well, feel free to drop in any of your questions that you have for our experts. And since we are on this same team, and I really like the flow very much, but I would also want to take it slightly further with addressing this issue. And of course, for this, I would like to hear it from Ms. Rosanna's point of view, being a dietitian, on how exactly parents can help these children or those that are at risk of stunting to catch up or grow taller. Since you gave us a very strong opening about how the diet really matters as well, so let's dive into addressing the stunting problem, Ms. Rosanna.
As you can see, these are very good points of when we say healthy eating, it comes from the head and to the toe. So when you look at all nutrition, they all have different functions for the eyes, for the teeth, for your skin, for your bones, especially for growth. Yeah, you need enough calcium, you need enough vitamin D, you need enough proteins. This is a very good pyramid. As you can see, the bottom is activity, is energy balance, is looking at enough water. The second one looks at less processed food, less sugary things. The third level looks at fruit and vegetables, because you need to have all the sort of food groups to have a balance, to have all enough macronutrients, which are your carbohydrate, your proteins, your fats, and micronutrients, which are all your essential vitamins. As you can see, the meat, the fish, chicken, eggs. Nowadays, you have a lot of myth about my child can't take chicken eggs every day because of cholesterol. Milk is not good for you. After a certain age, my child doesn't have to take milk anymore. You need to take milk, And so all of these things, it comes in a balance, All of this comes from here to here. You can't have no fat either, like you cook everything fat free. These are children that are growing, and neither can you have everything deep fried, everything processed, everything pre-packed. So these are things that also will affect, say, your normal appetite, your appetite, your absorption, what you might call it, when you're full with for example, drinking too much milk. Also, we see that in our practice, right, Prof. Yazid and Dr. Yong.
Yeah.
Too much milk, you don't
Also
eat.
no good. Yes.
Okay.
Also no good. You have iron deficiency. You get too full. So it's important to adopt as you can see over from this slide, this is a 15 centimeter. Sometimes it's 7-inch for a child. Please don't go and put your buffet plate. My child is supposed to eat this much. Now, is age appropriate, please? So age appropriate. Later we'll talk about how much averagely for a certain age, and do allow the child to ask for additional helpings instead of putting too much. Sometimes the child feels overwhelmed. So you can see like the suku, or quarter of it is your carbohydrate for energy, and the quarter of it is proteins. It gives iron, it gives zinc, it gives magnesium, variety, fruits and vegetables, where you can see a lot of kids nowadays don't eat the fruits and veggie. It doesn't have to be green leafy vegetables all the time. It can be variety of vegetables,
Yes.
variety way of cooking.
Yeah.
Can I just add on before we
course.
move
Yes,
from
yes,
this
of
slide?
course.
Because we can see this slide has milk,
Yeah.
right? This is for children.
Yeah.
A lot of our children do not take milk anymore
Yeah.
after
Yes.
2 to 5 years,
Yeah.
right? That is really concerning to me. And even yesterday,
Uh-huh.
I had a mother who texted me and said, how come this doctor, somebody
Uh-huh.
in the TikTok was saying that children should not be taking milk.
Yes.
Children should be taking all other food that can give you all the things. It's like, where are you going to get the calcium enough
Yeah.
for your child's height
Yeah.
and the vitamin D enough
Yeah.
for your child's growth if you don't take milk?
Yeah.
Are you giving them the sardine bones every day
Yeah.
or the anchovies every
Yeah.
day to give
I
them
think that is
enough
the best
calcium?
reply. yeah, to
Exactly.
ask
I was
them
like,
that.
come
Yeah.
on, where is this coming from? And everybody is saying that you go and get all the oats milk, the almond milk and all those things. Those are much more expensive.
Yes.
I mean, as easy as getting the fresh milk or the full cream milk, you don't need a fancy milk
Yeah.
to
And-
give
and-
you
and
the
children-
calcium and the vitamin D.
And children don't go out also. They don't have
Yeah.
enough D. We don't have enough
Yeah.
D.
Yes. I think even with the pandemic as well, there was a huge
The lockdown.
number of them that was really lacking in that particular vitamin
Exactly.
because of no sunlight as well. Yeah?
I mean, my group had done vitamin D levels in children, young children, school-age children, adolescent, and I can tell you, Malaysian children, almost 70 to 80% are either vitamin D insufficient or deficient, despite us having throughout the year
the
sun.
best sunlight.
Exactly,
Yes.
but they don't go out.
They don't go out.
If we go out, we run away from the sun.
Yeah.
We are under an umbrella, under shades and everything.
Yeah.
How can you get vitamin D from there?
True. Very
Right.
nicely said. And I think these are really important advice as well from both of our all of our experts here today. And again, if you're looking at any of the questions that you're unsure of, drop it over. We're still going to take it in. And now I would like to take a different angle out of our topic as well. And this time we want to talk about formal education. And I think the expert for this is definitely Dr. Yong to give us a perspective. So, based on our discussion earlier, I'm also sure that most parents, they would like to see their children excel in school. And, adding on to this, I'm also interested to know, does, children's height have an impact on their school performance? So maybe you can give us take your time and give us a clear picture of it. We really want to know on this because that's how a lot of parents would look at it, looking at their performance in school as well.
Okay, I'll start off by saying that academics aren't everything. However,
This is why I like Dr. Yong.
however, it is important that it be used as a benchmark for certain things.
Yeah.
While being short or being tall doesn't guarantee success or failure in life, it does tell you something. If your child is shorter than his or her peers, is she getting the right nutrition? And we know that certain minerals, certain micronutrients are important for brain development.
Correct.
And they're important for the child's ability to sit in class to absorb what's being taught. And in addition to nutrition, there's also this important thing called sleep and rest and play.
Yeah.
And a child who gets adequate playtime, adequate hours sleeping at night, and adequate rest is more likely to grow better because of their growth hormone secretion, which Prof. Yazik can address later.
Yeah.
Is more rested and it is better able to absorb what's being taught in class
Yeah.
because he's not stressed, he's not yawning while the teacher is teaching because of lack of sleep, and he's well rested. But
Yeah.
more importantly, if your child is short, you can't just say, he's short, he's not going to do well. No, we've got to sit and say, my child is not doing well. Yeah, he's also shorter than his peers. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Maybe the child is eating but not eating the right food.
Yeah.
Maybe the child's not getting enough calcium,
Yeah.
enough iron in the
It is an
food.
indication, right?
It is an
You can see,
indication, yes. So it is a harbinger of something, You've got to look at it and say, I have to explore this further. I've got to go see a doctor and let's thresh this out. Is there something wrong in the way he's leading his life? Is he not getting enough of whatever he's supposed to be getting, be it rest, sleep, or food?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Yong. So, Prof, maybe you want to give us your point of view as well, especially sometimes when you're looking at, any reminders that you think parents should also remember or highlight as they're looking at the growth of their
Yes,
kids?
I think Dr. Yong mentioned just now about the physical activity and also sleep, right? We always thought that, I mean, children probably like they would rather go and send their children for tuition that finish at 8 o'clock and come back and sleep by 10 o'clock. I think to me, I've mentioned this to the parents many times. You just don't send them for tuition. Your children needs to sleep before 10 o'clock every night. And why? Because studies have also shown that when you sleep early, your growth hormone production is much better. And when your growth hormone production is much better, you grow much better. All right? When you sleep early. So sleep duration from 12 midnight to 12 noon is not the same as if you were to sleep at 9 p.m. and wake up at 7 o'clock. Where these children are supposed to be sleeping about 8 to 10 hours every day. But the quality of the sleep is also important, right? And if they are deprived of sleep, they would not get good amount of growth. And then the physical activity. The physical activity makes you produce the happy hormone. You have better endorphin, better serotonin, and because of that happy hormones that is secreted, you eat better and you sleep better as well. So sleep is important in terms of the quality. The physical activity is also very important. And I just want to touch a little bit on what Prof. Yong mentioned just now in terms of the height and the IQ. Yes, there are studies that have shown that if a child is stunted, the IQ point is actually 11 points lower. And studies in Scandinavia has actually shown for adults who are taller, their income is higher.
Okay.
All right. Those are data.
That is a very serious discussion. I think we would need another a day for this entire discussion. I'm really interested to know as well.
So, if I wear high heels, would I be?
Yeah.
All right. So now that we have a very, I like how this discussion is going. We're taking in a lot of different angles out of this as well. But this also leads me now to the second half of our discussion here. And in this discussion, I would also like to know, we have children sometimes who parents think that they are eating well, which we have already covered on that topic on the nutrients as well. And, which also means they're supposed to be having good nutrient absorption, but they seem to not still grow despite having enough nutrients, right? So on this topic, especially in a scenario like this, what is your thoughts on this or your perception on this, Dr. Yong?
Well, I think you hit the key word there. Parents who think their children are eating well.
Think, a very strong word.
Very strong word. Because that's perception.
Yeah.
Right.
So if a child were to finish a plate of lunch, be it noodles or rice, he or she is seen to be eating well. Similarly, if they have a small bun at breakfast, but are they eating the right food? Is there ample nutrition? Is there balanced nutrition in that meal that they're having? If they're having, say, fast food for lunch, because they're rushing from one class to the other, are they actually getting the protein? Are they getting non-processed protein? Are they getting carbohydrate in an adequate amount? Are they getting adequate amounts of carbohydrate throughout the day in order to facilitate the growth and physical activity that they're about to undertake? With their kids, they will run. And are they drinking the right drinks? Because if you were to give them things like tea, for example, we know that tea inhibits iron absorption. And therefore, this child who's already not eating properly, not taking enough iron, is now going to face a second hurdle. Whatever iron that he or she is eating is not absorbed into the body. And so this child is going to be iron deficient. And if this child's not taking milk or dairy products, if you don't take milk, you can take cheese. You can take yogurt. That's still rich in vitamin D. Otherwise, you have to eat a lot of anchovies. Which is not on either. So it's not happening either. So is this child actually getting enough vitamin D and calcium to facilitate growth? So seemingly eating well does not mean eating well or eating balanced nutrition.
I just want to add on one thing there, because I think a good number of parents who come to see me, their children are playing really a lot. Those are really doing a lot of professional sports, gymnastics, and a lot of training. And when you actually go through the 24-hour diet recall, just to understand how much
Yeah.
the child eats, they're eating almost the same whether they are on training or not training. So that means they are actually at a energy loss.
You're
A good
burning it
number
out
of
and
them.
then you're still absorbing. It's a cycle. But you're
Yes,
not keep storing it enough.
exactly.
You're not
So
taking enough.
Yeah.
when you're not positive every day, how are you going to grow?
Yeah.
When your weight is not increasing, how are you going to
Yeah.
get the height? So that's also another group. I mean, yes, they seem to be healthy. They seem to be well and good. They don't have any issues because they are doing a lot of sports.
Sports, yeah.
But if they don't eat well,
Yeah.
how are they going to grow?
Okay. So since we are on this very discussion here, I think I would like to divert this over back to Ms. Rosanna. Maybe you could zoom in and also share with us the nutritional requirements. We understand the absorption part of it as how we had covered it earlier with Dr. Yong. And of course, we also heard it from Professor's point of view on how that is with the energy consumption. So when we zoom into the nutritional requirements of these school-aged children, so maybe you could share with us more on that.
So when we look at back to the nutrient dense and variety, we need to have all the food groups, which are fruits. Later we'll look about serving and portion. You know, portion is what we eat. Serving is what is the recommended on the guideline. So 3 vegetable group, 2 servings of fruits, 5 from all the fruits and veggies, carbohydrates, the meat, 3 main meals, snacks. Of course, Prof. Yazid mentioned that some of the patients he has referred to me also are athletes. From this slide, as you can, and avoid skipping meals. And from this slide, as you can see, for the 7 to 9-year-old, say the 4 to 6-year-olds. So the 4 to 6-year-olds are about 1,004, 1,005. So now when you come to boys and girls, the boys are only about 100 calorie. This is the reference nutrient intake 2017. Yeah. So the boys of the school age of 7 to 9 are 1,007. Girls are 1,006. Later, I'll tell you what I mean by these numbers. Protein is about 23. Calcium is 1,000 milligrams. So most of our children are not receiving vitamin D. Not if you don't take milk or dairy, yogurt or cheese, or you can't release for that matter. Iron, most children might not like eating meat. They like, say, the plain rice or noodles, and vitamin C comes from your fruits and veggies. For growing 10 to 12-year-old boys and girls, they're more. They are almost 2,000 calories for boys, and girls are 1,700. So the calcium is also higher in this age group because they are boys are going into say increased nutrient needs. Girls are also increased nutrient needs. So it's important to get this amount of calcium, vitamin D, and iron. So when we look at so how much calcium fruits and vegetables in portions would be? I took this liberty to look. So you can get these in the baking shop. So this is half, and this is 1 cup. So that is when you sit down per serving each time your child eats, it's about half to 1 cup, yeah, of fruits and veggies. But if you give too much fruits, too much veggies, they might be too full, yeah. So it's good to spread out and eaten fresh. Nowadays you have juices. All the children are drinking all sorts of juice flavors and things like that, and variety, colorful. It gives a lot of the antioxidants, micronutrients, all these. It doesn't have to be carrot or just green leafy vegetables. It can be, things like sengkuang, it can be terong, all the local vegetables now you can find, sweet potato, pumpkin, and things like that. So when we look at proteins as a food group, normally I would say use your child. So it's a lot easier to use your child's palm size when you look at a child's. So this is vegetable serving. We say the palm also. So a child's fruit should be his palm or her palm. Child's vegetable should be his or her palm. Same scenario for proteins. is a child, I always ask, so are you eating your palm? It's a lot easier when you use your child's palm,
Yeah.
right, Prof? Yazid, Dr. Yong?
Alright, yes.
I can't use my palm. I
No,
use,
no, no.
okay, your
It's the
child's
child's
palm.
palm.
Yeah.
Yeah, your child's palm. So how much proteins is your, I will ask, so how much are you taking? Show me your palm. Is it like this much? You know, that kind of manner. Is your noodles, does it contain proteins? Does it contain fish cake, fish ball example? Or is it just
Yeah.
kosong, that matter? Yeah, so even with dairy products, we also look at a cup. A cup, you can look at the cup, which is 250 milliliters. Those are rice. So when you look at rice, it's about half a cup as a measure. You know, you can get those baking cups. A slice of bread is a serving, so it doesn't mean you only need a serving. You probably
Yeah.
need a couple of servings per meal.
Yeah.
Okay. So from
Yes,
here,
so that's great. Yes, back to proteins. So it's a palm size worth. So a palm size or a matchbox, we say. So a child probably needs about a 1.5 of his or her palm size, which is a matchbox and a half of in a meal. Yeah. So in a day is about 4 to 6 of the palm. Yeah. His palm is equivalent to one palm size. So the milk also is important. So if you say 3 cups of milk, but per cup is only about 100 ml, or one small packet of milk, that's about 120. So that's not equivalent to a portion or serving size
Yeah.
of dairy. Yeah, or watered down. Sometimes it's diluted. Yeah, or sometimes you're taking dairy or non-dairy that is not fortified. So there's not enough calcium in there. There's no fortified in there. So it's also important to look at quality and quantity for children.
okay. A very
So-
clear, yeah, a clear examples that you're giving us as well. So we hope that our viewers are taking note. If at
Yeah.
all you need to screenshot any of the slides as well, feel free to do so.
Yes, you can do that. So when we look at back to, I mentioned about the cup. So when you look at the bread or cereals, it's a cup measure. So an egg is a serving of a protein. So we
Yeah.
look at the rice of a child is probably a cup at a meal time. So this is about for a child of 7 to 9. So if your 10 to 12-year-old is eating this amount of calories and protein, they're not meeting the requirements. So the milk, as you go there, is 3 cups of milk to achieve the absorption enough of calcium and D. So it looks at cup measure. These are some of the portions we look at. Portion, palm size, a child's palm and a half per meal time. So it gives the balance.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Rosanna. And I hope, like I said, I really like how well this is, being addressed and communicated via this really good slides that you have here as well. So again, do take note, parents, if you need to write it down or perhaps just take a screenshot out of it. This is really, really beneficial and helpful. So thank you, Miss Rosanna. All right, so now to all of our viewers, as we have promised you, we are definitely here for a good reason, which is also to address all of your concerns and questions that you have. So now that we have wrapped up our very insightful first half of our forum session, we will be taking in all of your questions. All right, so it's easy breezy. You just have to, scan the QR code that you see right now, okay, on your screen, and you can drop in your questions, and we will all do this together, okay? For our experts, we have Miss Rosanna, we have Prof. Dr. Muhammad Yazid with us. We also have Dr. Yong, Junina together with us. We will be looking at each of your questions. So let's start off with the very first question. All right, so the question is, Doctor, may I ask a question? Can I know if my child's weight is low? Will it affect his health?
Yes. Children who are underweight are more susceptible to infection. And when they do get sick, if they're really underweight, it's more difficult for them to recover. They will take a longer time to recover. Also, if your child's weight is persistently low, despite whatever you're doing to increase his weight, then we've got to see if the child has an underlying medical problem. Is he asthmatic and getting frequent episodes?
Yeah.
Does he have allergic rhinitis such that he can't sleep well and he's snoring at night? Can't taste his food because he can't smell it. So yes, it will. Your low weight can both affect the health and can also indicate that something is wrong with his health.
Okay. All right. So we hope you have addressed that question. Thank you, Doctor.
The underweight child may also have issues with their micronutrients, their vitamins, their iron.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the weight,
Yeah.
but also about the other minerals that comes with it. And because of that, we really need to look at the child. So the even in Malaysia, whether it's American Academy of Pediatrics or Malaysian guidelines, is that if your child is underweight, your child need to be screened for this. So there are certain tests that needs to be done. We cannot just leave your child alone, just ask you to go and feed the child and hopefully the weight goes up. But there's already an indication for us to do something more than just wait and watch.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, if you just leave it as it is and you take it into your hands to feed the child, assuming that the child will just gain weight and it's better, it can also take a different direction and it could be worse for the child, in fact.
Correct.
Yeah?
Especially if the child is below 3 years, that's where your brain growth is really rapid. So that will also affect the brain growth. Yes, we are talking about the school children now.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't affect so much on the brain growth in terms of the mass of the brain, but all the connections and the thinking and the activities, the concentration, those are still very important. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so again, we are looking through the Q&A session. Thank you so much, Prof, as well as Doctor, for addressing the questions. We're going to take in as many as we can, if time permits.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do this together, and I hope you're with us as well, Ms. Rosanna, if at all there are any questions that you would like to take in as well. So the next question we have is, Doctor, the peanut root soup really can help the kids to grow tall.
Rosanna, it's yours.
I was about to say, what is peanut root soup?
We do get all these questions, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken peanut root soup if I knew this would make me tall. I think it's a balance of nutrition. It's not only it's not only milk, not only protein, not only carbo. It's a
Correct.
balance. You have to have the balance for growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to have the whole works.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that I get a lot of these questions.
Okay.
If I were to give my child this route and that route, and like, as long as it doesn't make your child shrink further or underweight, to me is what you believe.
Yeah.
But from my scientific point of view, I have no evidence
evidence
to support your claim.
Spoken like a true professor. No evidence. It's not a yes, it's not a no. All right, so now we're going to move forward to the next question. And this one is directed to Prof. May I ask if children should take milk till what age? Good question.
I will tell you, you should take your milk until you probably die.
Okay.
Yes.
Throughout your life.
Okay.
Throughout your
Okay.
life. Throughout your life.
It just depends on how much you take.
Okay.
All right. For children, remember, we talked about milk just now. So 100 mils of milk give you 100 unit of vitamin D.
Okay.
And 100 mils of milk give you 130 milligram of calcium. And a child of this age, the school-going age, they need 400 to 600 unit of vitamin D every day. That means your child has to drink about 400 to 600 every day. And for calcium, they need about 1,000. If the child is only taking 400, that means the child is getting about 700 grams of calcium, which is not too bad.
Yeah.
If you're not giving at all the milk, so where is this calcium and vitamin going to come from? And as you age, you grow older, you need lower. Calcium need, your vitamin D need is lower, but that doesn't mean that you do not need.
Yeah.
You still need to make sure that your bone is good and thick and well, so that you don't get early osteoporosis. So where is this calcium and vitamin D going to come?
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's all about the volume that you need to take, not about do you need to take or not take. You need to take.
Yeah. Why
Unless-
stop something that's good for you? In simple
Exactly.
words as well. Yeah.
Unless you have lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
You know, people lactose intolerance, there's a different way to do it. We advise you differently. But for most of us who are not lactose intolerant, don't just stop the milk for your kids.
Okay.
It's very important.
All right. So now that we are on this Q&A session, thank you, Prof, for addressing the question. So now we have the next question that is coming in as well. And of course, we will try our level best to take in as many questions as we can. And again, if let's say you would like to direct it to any of the doctors or even to Prof here, just drop it over. We will try our level best to squeeze in as many questions as we can. So now I'm looking at the next question here. And we have this question related to sleep. sleep can lead to growing taller. Is it true?
Yes, in short.
Yeah.
Quantity versus quality of
Exactly.
sleep. Yes.
So yes, in short, but you got to make sure that your child gets good quality sleep, and that comes from being well rested. You can't put a child to bed 10 minutes after he puts down his gadget.
Yeah.
The mind is still very active.
Exactly.
So you've got to have this period, the cooling down period, and then he's got to be able to sleep in a comfortable environment, stress-free, and as Prof. Yazid says, the latest is at 10. For my own kids, it was 9 o'clock. Special permission required to finish homework
Okay.
if it's beyond 9.
Yes.
Okay, and then they get up at 6 or 7 because school starts at 7:30.
Yes.
So they will be up by about 6.
Yeah.
Some even earlier to catch
Yeah.
the school bus. And they've got to sleep well in the night. So no night terrors. So definitely no snoring from allergic
Yes.
rhinitis.
Correct.
No wheezing episodes. So the health comes in there.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they get up, they're well rested. If your child's sleeping at 9 and waking up with dark circles under the eyes, grouchy, and sleepy in class, you've got to see a doctor to see what's going on. Something is going on during. And in order to be able to sleep well in the night, they have to be tired, which means they've got to play. So you play well, you have your dinner, you sleep well, you will be taller.
Take away their gadgets.
Okay.
At dinner.
Yeah.
At
dinner.
dinner.
I think
The
also,
last is
in
at
the
dinner.
morning when they're too sleepy, they can't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Eat early and then go to bed.
Go to bed. Okay. Very, very sound and nice advice here. And I think this can also be applicable to adults.
Yes, definitely. Because adults need to sleep well as well.
Yes.
Because if you don't sleep well, this is coming from some of our studies as well. When an adult sleep very little, very poor quality sleep, the next day you eat more.
Yes.
Because your hypothalamus is telling you to feed yourself.
Yeah.
And when you are asked to feed yourself, you have to feed your body with high fat diet and high sugary diet.
Yeah.
That will definitely make you overweight and
Overweight.
obese.
Weight gain and diabetes and cancer
Exactly.
risk, things like that.
We're not addressing the children here. We're also addressing the parents.
I think we are all sitting here and nodding to this because it's very relatable. We know it, you know it as well.
Exactly.
All right. So now we're going to move forward to the next question in our Q&A session. And again, this is a very safe platform for you to address any of your concerns. So drop it over and we'll be, trying our level best to answer all of your questions. So the next question we have here, it says, Doctor, may I know why is my son, he eats a lot but poor in weight gain?
Yeah. And that's first, then I'll go in. Yeah.
As we addressed earlier, sometimes the perception is that he's eating a lot, but is it really a lot? Is he eating more than his sibling? But actually, both of them are not eating very much. And more importantly, is he eating the right food? Is he getting balanced nutrition, complete with all the necessary micronutrients? Or is he just eating empty calories with no nutrition? So instant noodles with just the packet flavoring, that's a lot. It's one bowl, which I can barely finish. But it's empty calories with no proper nutrition. As opposed to eating a plate of rice with fish and veggie. So the quantity may look the same, but the plate of rice with fish and veggie and fruits after that contains better nutrients and micronutrients, and that one is more likely to grow better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's also very important that the parents, if in this kind of case, if the parents really think that they are giving enough in terms of the food, you also need to look at whether the child is burning too much. Okay, the high metabolic rate, or they are having any other illness or that cause the imbalance of the energy per day, right? That needs to be looked into as well. So it works both ways. Your intake and then your loss. That needs to be balanced. Yes, Ms. Rosanna.
Yes, Ms. Rosanna?
I think also maybe in front of the parents they look like they're eating, but we don't know hours they are in school.
Yes.
The recess time, their lunch in school, and things like that.
Yeah.
And most of these kids are with their parents, probably only at breakfast and dinner.
And dinner. So the
lunch,
in-between
we
where
do not know what
the
they-
energy is burned and the consumption is happening for food,
Exactly.
they have it as well.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So we're going to try and do this, as many questions as we can, and I think we have a couple more minutes, right? We do? Yes, okay. So let's look over at the next question that I have here. And it says, if we want to see whether a kid is growing well or not, we can actually refer to two indicators. Is it the growth chart and BMI percentile?
Yes, both.
Both.
You're really right. This person, me Chan.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
It's
really
not
right
really
on
a question.
that.
This is
Yeah.
really just
Exactly.
referring us.
Just-
Okay, nice. All right, and now we have the next questions here. It says, but kids love fast food so much. It's not healthy, but it saves time sometimes. Any comments?
Well, everything in moderation. And I mean, we are all not superhumans.
Yeah.
We're humans, and we can't always provide home cooked food, especially if moms are working and the child is on a tight schedule. So we have to pick and choose what it is that we give our children. If you have to give fast food, then choose the healthiest of the fast food options. And for the sides, you can. Some companies actually provide things like corn,
Exactly.
okay. And then instead of drinking carbonated drink, they can have plain water or juice, not cordial, juice.
Juice.
Exactly.
Real fruit
Fruit
juice.
juice.
Okay?
Even real fruit juice, I would say,
With sugar free.
you better eat the fruit rather than take
Yes.
the
Yeah.
fruit
Yes.
juice.
This is just the lesser of two evils. But the best is mineral water,
Water.
Yeah.
or about water to go with the food, and make sure that the meal that the child is having is balanced. That means there's real protein, not processed proteins, some carbohydrate, whether in the form of bread or rice, and either coleslaw or some form of vegetables that come together with the meal.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doc. What about Miss Rosanna? Do you want to add on
I
to
was
this?
about to say that sometimes when you give food, fast food, you tend to make your child be pickier because you are picking
Pickier.
just this. They tend to be picking that after a while.
Yeah.
So I think if same thing with others, have a variety of it. I think I mean variety of the, maybe make the fast food, like when we were growing up, the fast food was a treat. Nowadays the fast food is every day.
Yeah.
So when you
Fast
look
food
at
like a norm.
yeah,
For us, it's a treat once a
it's a
month.
treat for us. You know, this is every day. My child goes to the drive-through and then get something, and they're all with salt. They're all with
High
processed
salt,
stuff.
high fat.
Yeah, so your child won't grow. You know, the child won't grow well with food that is fast. Maybe you can have recipes that is also fast to cook. Things like fried rice, you can add egg, right? You can add a bit of frozen vegetables and things like that. So lots of things that you can cook in the that is fast, that is healthier.
The other thing with fries and salt, you can actually request the fries to be salt free. Your child may lose interest in that particular fast food joint soon enough because it's no longer salt free.
Yeah, Dr. Yong has very creative ways. I would be very scared if I walked into her clinic, but okay, I really love the suggestions as well. Thank you, Ms. Rosanna, for your input on this. So now we're going to look over the next question that we have here on our screen, which says, let's talk about naps this time, since we spoke about food quite a bit. So children should take naps until what age?
Yeah.
Because if they take a nap, they would still stay late at night and probably asleep only after 11. So
Okay.
what are your thoughts on this?
Don't
Nap?
force.
Yeah,
Don't
don't force them to take nap. But it's important for the younger children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the younger children. We say up to 2 to 5, they
yeah.
may take nap.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, nap is nap. I mean, you look at definition of nap. Nap is not 2 hours sleep,
Yeah.
right? Nap is 30 minutes to 1 hour just to give you a boost to wake up and get energy and move around and do your
Yeah.
things throughout the day. For the school children, our system is difficult. Our system, whether it's a public or a private school, they have long hours, right? They come back from school at 2 o'clock, then they have to take their lunch. Then please don't allow your children to sleep for 2 hours after their lunch at 3 and wake up at 5. Definitely they're not going to sleep before 9, right? So because they have already had that 2 hours of sleep, and after that 2 hours of sleep, they were asked to go for tuition. No physical activity. How are they going to get all these happy hormones to make them actually go to sleep early?
Yeah.
So the nap to me is important, yes, but it should not be forced, and it should be just short and sweet, not the long ones that make you not sleep early the next day. And when we talk about sleep, there is a cycle. if you keep on sleeping at night late, you will definitely have to sleep during the day.
Yeah.
If you cut short the nap,
Yeah.
they will sleep early the
Yeah.
night.
I think sometimes it's about tweaking it as well,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Okay. So, Doc, do you want to also add on this, your take on this?
Basically, don't force. If the child doesn't want to sleep, if the child is full of beans and jumping around, don't make them sleep. That means they don't need that pick me up. Let them play, let them run, and then they'll go to bed at 8:30 or 9 because they're tired. But if we try to tweak it too much for them, then we're going to end up rearranging the whole day.
Yeah. Very nicely said. All right, so now we are still looking. Thank you so much, Doc, as well as Prof, for answering the questions. Now we will look over at the next question that we have. And it says here, I'm trying to replace unhealthy meal and snack in my kids' diet. And does consuming extra fruits daily will affect children's blood sugar level? So I think over to you, Miss Rosanna. Do you want to take this question first?
Yeah, I was about to say back to the go back to the endocrinologist.
Yeah, I was looking at him too.
I think the good effort for trying to replace unhealthy meals and snacks. Fruits is one of them, fresh, not those dried or sugared or juices sometimes, So fresh fruit, I don't think it will affect a child's blood sugar levels as much as the sugary snacks and drinks that you give.
Yeah.
So it's healthier, it has fiber, it promotes good bowel movements, good digestion, it acts on the probiotics, it becomes the prebiotics. So fruits and vegetables are good for your child. It won't increase your child's blood sugar levels unless it's only fruits.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everything needs to be in moderation. When
Yeah.
we talk about the serving just now, I think Ms. Rosa mentioned, the serving has to be like 5 servings a day of veggie and fruits.
Okay.
Okay? So you put them together, it becomes a 5 serving. And when we talk about fruits, we talk about fruits to be eaten, not fruits to be drink.
Yes.
It is 2 different things. Because when you make a juice, orange juice, you don't use 1 orange. You usually use 2. And you only get the juice, not much of the fiber and all that thing when you eat it.
Yeah.
Right? Same goes with apple, same goes with whatever. So please, God creates the fruits to be eaten, not to be drink.
Yeah.
Alright, so just make sure that we get all the fiber,
Yeah.
so that the fiber itself can also halt the increase of the sugar in the blood. Okay, so when you take the fruits with the fiber with it, your sugar won't rise to the diabetes level.
Levels. Yeah.
And if your child's not diabetic, the body can handle the sugar.
Definitely.
Sugar. The body can
Yes.
handle it. Yeah.
The body can handle and keep it within the normal range.
Range.
For as long as the child does not have a problem with diabetes.
Exactly,
Okay.
and then the choice of fruits as well. Some fruits do have more sugars. A good number of fruits have good amount of fiber
Fibers.
and won't push your sugar. So don't just go for one fruit
Yeah.
and just give that all the time.
Fine.
Definitely will push up the sugar. So it's important to have a balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We sure had a very, very interesting and insightful forum session. I think even for parents, a lot of us here have cleared a lot of our doubts as well. We had a better understanding and clearer pictures of the topics here. So before we bid farewell, I would like to thank all of our experts here today. Thank you so much for your time in joining. Last words from you. Maybe we can start off with Miss Rosanna.
I think it's never too early or to start with good nutrition. Please, it's a role model of the parents, so it's quite important what you eat, how you react to your child during meal times. Sleep is important. They get up early. Everything is earlier. You make some time spread out. Balance is important. So if your child is active, you should have more nutrients in there. Milk is for all ages, as Prof has mentioned. It's not only for the 1 and 2 or the 2 and 3, and so for all ages. Any doubt, please go and to find all of us in our or anyone in the IMFeD clinics. seek seek experienced experts to help if you feel that your child is your child is eating a lot and not growing, or your child is on really not even touching the percentile chart that we showed earlier.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Ms. Rosanna. We truly appreciate your time as well, and of course, all of the tips. And I know, particularly like the charts very well as well. It gave us a very good, clear picture of the topic today. So, what about Dr. Young? Any last words that you would like to share with our viewers?
I think the take-home message here is do monitor your child's growth. Your child is never too old to be monitored and mothered. So,
Correct.
give a close watch, discuss your concerns, get the measurements from the school if you don't do it yourself. Otherwise, you can use the apps that we've shown, or you can have a growth chart, and do talk to your child's doctor about their child's growth and development. Okay, even if your child's in primary school and no longer has a monthly jab, do go to your doctor at least once or twice a year to look at the growth of your child, and then to discuss about the diets and whatever else that may concern you. Your child not sleeping enough, or your child's not eating properly, seek the advice of your pediatrician.
All right, very wise advice here. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Dr. Young. And again, we truly appreciate your insights on the topics covered here as well. And I'm sure quite a number of parents are probably watching you as well if they've brought their kids
Yes.
over to you. So thank you for this. And of course to Professor. Any last words from you to our viewers here today?
Okay, growth of a child not necessarily 100% dependent on the parent's height. That's very important. So a short parent doesn't mean you should have a short child. That's first thing. And when you don't grow, that doesn't mean that definitely you have a growth hormone deficiency. No, it's all about the food, the sleep, and the physical activity. And the last one here that I want to say clearly, I know there's a lot of myth about milk and all that for children. Milk to me is the easiest source of calcium and vitamin D, which is so important for the height of the child. And please, if you, parents, if you really have doubts or you have any questions, do get to the correct people to get your advice. That's the whole thing.
There's no two ways about it, yeah?
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor, for your time here. And again, to all of our viewers, we hope that you have enjoyed the sessions. You have also addressed your concerns, and you have also heard it from our experts. So now, again, very quickly, before I wrap up the session, I would also like to thank for those of our viewers who have participated in the Touch and Go contest. We would be contacting the winners in a couple of days, all right? So thank you so much for your participation. And again, we truly appreciate your time for joining us, not just for today, but for the last 3 sessions that we had here throughout the entire Growth Watch month. So thank you so much for your participation. And again, before we bid farewell, I would truly appreciate for you to fill up the feedback form, as we would like to hear from you if at all you have any suggestions or you would like to share with us your experience as well. The QR code is right there on the screen for you. So do fill up the forms, and we would love to hear it from you. So now we have officially wrapped up the 2023 Growth Watch month, brought to you by IMFeD. Thank you once again for joining us. I am Jaleesa Sanjana, signing off.